Here we go, here we go, here we go. Let's just try and do something a little bit different. Okay. Giving lip service to the system. All right. Notice I said lip service and not loyalty to the system. Lip service. Well, I use that phrase lip service a lot. Now, here's my definition, my personal definition of lip service. For example, when a manager says, "Do you like working here?" And of course you say, "Oh yeah, it's great. It's the greatest job I've ever had. Yes, ma'am," or "Yes, sir, I love this job." And then you realize, like, man, I hate this fucking shit. And I hate that fucking bitch. Or I hate that motherfucker. Right? Or, "Yeah, absolutely we'll get that done. We're going to get that done right away, sir." And then it's like, "Are we going to get that done?" "Nah, we're going to take care of it tomorrow." Right? So to me, that is lip service. It's the same thing where it's just like, "I love America. I love everything about it. You know, America. Fuck yeah." And in reality, you're just like, I don't really care. I don't really care about the federal government. I may like the people because, you know, we all speak English and we all kind of have these beliefs, but, you know, the federal government could care less about, you know. And the state governments and local governments couldn't really give a shit less about them because I don't know them, you know, for the most part. But even if we did know them, you'd probably hate them even more if you knew them. Anywho, I'm going to stop playing with this cock gun. So I think it's important to give lip service and not give loyalty and not feel that you are bound by these systems. I think that's very valuable, in my opinion. It's important to be like, yeah, you know, because I think more and more, as I see a potential for like, an economic collapse, or even just a governmental collapse on the federal level, and a kind of a hit or miss, in my opinion, a hit or a miss on how effective local governments are. You have to be aware that you shouldn't give your utmost loyalty and you're just dedicated to this one group. That's dangerous. You have to be flexible. You have to be able to just say, "Yeah, I love," you know, it's like, "Yeah, boss, I'll be willing to stay here and fight with you. Get the car ready." You know, right. One of those sorts of things where it's just like, "Yeah, boss, I mean, we'll do anything we can for you. We'll make sure we're there for you in jail." And it's just like, we're not going to do anything for him, are we? No. Right? So like I say, lip service, monkey shines, whatever you want to call it. You tell them what they want to hear. That's basically lip service to me. You tell people what they want to hear, and you say, "Absolutely, I love doing that," or, "Oh yeah, every time I walk into a room," or something like that, or whatever it is. Maybe there's some procedure or something like that. It's like, you know, "Did you check so and so thing," or whatever. It's like, you know, when you walk in, and let's say you're a maintenance guy like me. It's like, maybe they'll say, "Well, you should wear your little booties, you know, on your feet so that you don't track in dirt," or whatever. I don't know. And so it's like, every time we do that, "Yes, sir," right? I feel that's what giving lip service is. And you have to be able to do that with the preceding collapse. I'm trying to give people an honest portrayal. I don't say, "Be a revolutionary, hoorah, join the fight, you know, fight the fascists, and you're going to, you know, kill millions of, you know, you're going to liberate the homeland." No. That's propaganda. There's a reality behind it. Because with any human endeavor, there's always going to be various factions of things break off. I'm watching a video from History with Hilbert. Excellent channel. It's a pretty good channel. It's been a while since I've watched any of his videos, but I think he's a talented chap. And he's talking about why do the Taliban and ISIS hate each other? Because, of course, people make this, the fear-mongering notion that the Taliban and Al-Qaeda or Al-Qaeda, I'll just say Al-Qaeda, are somehow still connected. It's like they're not one thing. And, even the Taliban is not one thing. There have been numerous factions within that. And you have to realize is that there are numerous factions that exist, within any group, right? So even in the Communist Party, let's say in the Russian Communist Party, you had the more conservative views of, certain individuals. You had the sort of the old Bolsheviks versus, the folks who wanted, to work with the West more. So you had the whole Khrushchev gang versus, the old Stalinist gang and all that business, right? And you had the secret speech and all that. And eventually those folks disappeared. They were killed, people like Beria and people that were loyal to him in particular. So, you have to realize this of the different factions that exist and being able to not be a loyalist of any sort, to just kind of being blasé. And to me, that's the most important thing, being blasé and just being there. Now, in some cases, that may be dangerous too. But in general, just being a lazy bum and just kind of giving your vague support for them and showing that you're not going to rebel against people, I think that's a valuable skill. I'm going to say just kind of being blasé and just kind of being like, oh, okay. All right. You're in charge now? Okay. Because for the most part, whether it's in city government, whether it's, whether you're working at a insurance agency, whether you're working at a hotel, whatever, is that in general, there's always the new guy that comes in or the new manager comes in and says, we're going to change everything around. And of course, for the most part, people roll their eyes and they'll say, no, you're not going to. And they don't. They give in and they realize that this is the system. People like AOC, for example, I'm not even that mad at AOC. Make your money, girl, this and that. I mean, that's how I feel. But it's like, stop fooling yourself thinking you're going to tax the rich. No, you're not. No, you're not. And I know people are going to cope and say, oh, but someone paid for her, or they invited her there. Yeah, but the thing is, though, is what you're not talking about, of course, that other people have mentioned that, yeah, the so-called immigrant that designed her dress is married to a millionaire. And it's kind of ironic, really, that Bronowski guy also had a child with MIA. Yes. Paper Planes, Live Fast, Die Young, Bad Girls. That one, that gal, she had a child with him. As much as she'll claim to be like a socialist and all this sort of thing in some ways and support some sort of Sri Lanka or some sort of Tamil independence. I know that there's, like Punjab and Tamil, this and that. But her kind of supporting this Tamil independence and kind of being somewhat of a socialist. But then what does she do? Does she have a child with the fellow Tamil and she promotes some sort of socialism? No. She slept with, this Bronowski guy and had a child with him. And of course, anyway, it just goes to show the hypocrisy of folks. Anybody in the entertainment industry in general, you have to realize is that these are actors and actresses. And, you don't really know when they're acting and when they're being real, right? And we see that with, we saw that with the Star Wars guy. The guy who played Huck or whatever it is. Anyway, the black dude. And, he was out there with a megaphone and all this sort of thing. But that was his way of saying ultimately that they support the system. They'll support the reform of the system. Now, for me, like I say, I think revolution is necessary, but I will never join any political group. I've said that over and over. Everybody's going to make their own choice. See, I'm too much of an American to, to make people join a group. No. I'm too much of an American. I'm too much of an individualist myself. I'll be honest with you, as dirty as that word individualist is, but ultimately, wherever you are, you're going to have to make your choices. But for me, I will give lip service to whatever is going to be in power. And I will say, yes, sir, no, sir. Yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. And I'll play along. I may occasionally whine and complain, but overall, I'll just shut my mouth and I'll keep going because I realize that's how things are. As long as you give lip service to them and you don't actively rebel against people, for the most part, you're pretty much ignored. You know? Now, it doesn't mean you know. I mean, think about people like Ernst Jünger. We've been reading, I've been, sending out videos about Ernst Jünger, right? And so we see, that Ernst Jünger in his actual life didn't really care for National Socialism, didn't care for Hitler and all this other stuff. But he got a fairly cushy job being a captain in the occupation army in France and spent a lot of his time just talking with French intellectuals. That's what he did for the most part. So he was just chilling with, French intellectuals and philosophers about various things. And he played along. The Gestapo did investigate him, this and that, but he was enough of a popular hero that they couldn't really touch him. So they're like, okay. Right? It's the same thing even with August von Mackensen. August von Mackensen died a little bit after the Second World War, like 1946, I believe. But they didn't, they tried to court his favor a little bit, but ultimately he didn't want to be involved because he is more of a monarchist, I think. I mean, obviously, Kaiser Wilhelm II as well. But that's usually the way it goes, right? They didn't organize some actual resistance. They didn't care for it. It's the same thing you can say about what's the guy from Africa? I'm trying to think of it, or the German colonial commander in Africa. I cannot think of his name now. Let me see here. It's going to bother the hell out of me thinking about it. Let me see here. Deutsch Ostafrika. Let's see here. African Great Lakes. Okay. Small region leader incorporated into Mozambique. German East Africa Company. Oh, they had a German East Africa Company. Oh, similar to Dutch East India. Ah, okay. It's almost there. Vorbeck? I think it's Vorbeck, isn't it? I cannot think of his name. Hold on. Let me see if I can figure it out. I'm pretty sure it's like, yeah. Paul von Letto Vorbeck. There we go. Yeah, Vorbeck. Another guy who didn't care for National Socialism and was a bit of an anti-Semite himself, apparently. But, yeah. But, yeah, anyway, sorry for the dead air there. But there are numerous folks who didn't like what was going on, but they just said, well, you're making Germany look good, so at least for now, so okay. And that's basically it, right? It's just like, well, okay, whatever, Or at least that's my view anyway. Society for German Colonization. Wow. We laugh at it today, but holy moly. When that Paul Leto... Okay, he died in 1964. There you go. So he lived quite a while then. Okay, yeah, he was 93. Okay. I'm looking at this. I saw the video back when the Great War, the original thing was going on. So I did see, the video about Paul von Letto Vorbeck. Letto Vorbeck must be a big family and I recall an older officer scolding a younger one because he failed to ask a young woman who was without a partner to dance. Offenses against chivalry were not tolerated. First World War. Ludwig Depp. First World War. Let's see, a political career. Later, when Hitler offered him ambassadorship to the court of St. James, he declined with a frigid hauteur. Theodor von Hippel used his experience in East Africa to form the Brandenburgers. Oh. Commando unit of the Abwehr. Oh, really? Die Stunde Null. Leto Vorbeck was destitute. His house in Bremen had been destroyed by Allied bombs. Oh, wow. Visited Dar es Salaam, where he was welcomed by surviving Askaris, who greeted him with their old marching song, Hiya Safari. Oh, wow. 11 days before his 94th birthday. Oh, wow. Flew in two of former Askaris. Oh, wow. Huh. Well, there you go. Sorry about that. I just got distracted by the Leto Vorbeck thing. Huh. Anywho, I think it's important to realize, and I think this is from a pragmatic point of view, anarchist versus anarchist versus ML versus Nazi or Proud Boy, these things don't matter in the whole scheme of things on people that are not directly part of any group. Antifa versus the cops, or what, these ultimately do not affect the average person. And there's a lot of this notion where it's like, we need to convert people, bro. We need to get them on our side. And it's just like, in general, these things, people are under the mistaken notion. They really get it twisted like the internet is real life. No, it isn't. I mean, I have enough sense to know that it doesn't really exist like that. You will have some people who are loyal to various groups, but I think that loyalty is basically a one-way street. You are loyal to them. The leaders do not have to be loyal to you. That's usually the way it works. Loyalty is a one-way street. So, I don't know. I just want to be careful with everybody to not get involved with this bullshit. Don't end up getting caught in this bullshit where it's just like, yeah, bro, I mean, we're gonna fight the fascists and we're gonna, bring everybody down. Yeah, it's just like, come on. No, you're not. No, you're not. No, you're not going to do that. We know better. Don't be a LARPer like that. I mean, that's my view anyway. Don't do that. Don't try to think that somehow, yeah, bro, we're going to take everything down. It's like, no, you're not. Anywho, this has gone way on long enough, but that's basically my stance on it. You give loyalty to this system, and they're just going to eat you alive. If you give lip service to it, then you can give lip service to the next system, and you learn to give the bare minimum. That's really how a lot of people survive. It's the same thing with war, right? You don't stick your neck out for nobody. As long as you know how to just, of which leaders you need to really, watch out for, and which leaders you don't mess with, then you're like, okay, that's all you need to know, right? It's like, ooh, leave him alone. He's going to go off on you. He's going to make you do some detail or something like that, right? So, yeah, that's all I have to say about that. That went on a little bit too long, but anyway, I hope y'all enjoyed that. See you later. Goodbye.